I've been into conversational AI solutions for months and months, recently wrote an academic paper on voice AI, and I've been building AI solutions that make businesses money and save them time. And today I'm going to show you exactly how you can build an outbound AI assistant that fully automated calls your customers to remind them about upcoming appointments. This system alone will cut your appointment no-show rate in half. I promise that. This system works seamlessly. It knows all the information about your customers from previous interactions, and it takes care of the reminders so you don't have to. And at the end of this video, you will have a fully functional appointment reminder agent up and running, powered by VAPI.a, Make.com, and Google Calendar. And I also include all the tools and resources you need to follow along the way in my resource hub with the link in the description below. Let's get started. Before starting into the build, we need to understand one key difference between the normal assistant and the transient-based assistant. The normal assistant works the following way. We first define the assistant in, for example, the VAPI dashboard, meaning we give the assistant a certain amount of information about, for example, our company, its purpose, what it should do, what it should act like, etc. We all define that before starting the call. After that, when we are done, the AI assistant gets a trigger, which then starts the call. At this point in time, the call or the AI assistant calling the customer only has the information we defined in this step here at the beginning when building the assistant. And now the problem is when we call a customer, the assistant has no personal information about them because we would have to specify it here, and obviously we can't specify like the personal information about every customer in our database. And if we wanted, for example, to get the personal information from a customer to this assistant, we would have to make a tool call to, for example, make.com to fetch the personal information from our database, then return it to the assistant, and then we can pursue it on to the customer. And this just takes time and is not really convenient, and that's not really the way we do it normally. The way we normally do it is with a transient assistant. The transient assistant works in another order. The order here is we first have the trigger, meaning something in our system triggers a webhook that then will start the call later down the line. But first, before starting the call itself, we get the info of customers from our database to then feed into an assistant that we are dynamically building. So for each call, we initiate a new AI assistant that has the personal information about the customer that executed the trigger. And then we start the call with the information already inside the AI or inside the call. Meaning that, for example, with the transient assistant, we can address the customer that we are calling actively with their first name already in the first message, because we got the information in this step, fed it into the assistant in this step, and then in the next step we are triggering the call with the information included. And yeah, that's the key difference here. And with the normal assistant, we define the assistant beforehand, then the trigger gets executed, and then we're starting the call. If the customer picks up, then we can only say something like, "Hi, this is Sunny from Eximus." For example, that would be something I would want my assistant to say. And if we then want to fetch the personal information about the customer, we would have to make different Make.com tool requests. And with the transient assistant, we get the information before starting the call, meaning that the trigger is being executed. In Make.com, we are getting the info, feeding into the AI assistant, and then we are starting the call with the first message like, "Hey Tim, this is Sunny from Eximus." And obviously the "Hey Tim" is much more attractive and much more natural for customers to talk with, and it seems more human, and that's why we want to use a transient assistant in this instance. And how does the assistant work, you might ask? The assistant is getting triggered through a appointment reminder mail that then triggers this mail hook, which obviously executes this Make.com scenario, and at the end of it calls the lead through this HTTP request through VAPI.a to deliver a personalized appointment reminder message like, "Hey, insert name. This is Sunny from Eximus. I just wanted to remind you about your upcoming appointment at XYZ time. Can you make it?" And the idea is that if they can't make it, that they are able to reschedule in this call, so with no extra hassle for them. And if they are able to make the call, then they can add additional information we might want to have for the call to deliver more value for them. And obviously, if you can build on top of this whatever you want, you can add different automations. You might even add an SMS reminder later down the line when the prospect doesn't pick up, so they also get an SMS. Why is this valuable? This system will cut your no-show rate in half. You probably do some sort of appointment reminders already, but this voice system will give you the competitive edge, and this will improve customer satisfaction. And all that without any extra manual work. You just have to set it up once and then have it running forever. And now that you know what a transient-based assistant is and how this system specifically works, you will still have to build it out yourself. And if you want me and my team to come in and help you out with that, you can schedule a meeting with the link down in the description below. And if you want to build it yourself, you can just follow along with the tutorial. Just keep watching. Again, all the tools and resources you need are included, so it's really seamless for you. And yeah, let's get started with the build.
Hey Tim, I am Sunny from Eximus. Have you got a minute?
Yeah, hi Sunny, and I've got a minute. What's it about?
Great. I'm just reaching out to remind you of your AI growth audit scheduled for today. Are you still able to make it? Also, is there anything specific you would like to discuss during our call?
Yeah, I'm able to make it, and I don't know if there's anything specific I want to discuss, but can you just quickly remind me when our last call was and what we were talking about?
Of course. Our last call was on December 9, 2024. We discussed the incredible value of AI voice assistants. If you have any more questions about that or anything else, feel free to bring it up during our meeting.
Alright, to start building, we first go into the VAPI dashboard. Just go to VAPI.a, make yourself an account, and then log in. And you will have to buy a phone number. You can either buy a phone number directly inside of VAPI if you are in US or Canada. And if you are outside of that, you will have to buy one from Twilio and then import it there. It's really easy. And you will just have to copy the phone number ID from this page, which is displayed directly under the phone number itself on the top of the page. So just click here, buy a phone number, and then copy the phone number ID to the clipboard or note it down somewhere. We will need that later. The second thing is tools. You don't have to use these tools, but we will use them later to enable the assistant to actually book appointments when the prospect says that they can't make it to the appointment. We want obviously to reschedule it, and that's what these tools allow us to do. And also you will need to copy those two tools IDs and to your clipboard and then save it somewhere. We will need them later. And last thing we need is the API key. You will find it under your company and then API keys. Just copy this to your clipboard and then you are good to go. The next step is to go to make.com. Again, make an account, log in, and then you will be able to create scenarios. You will create a new scenario. We will call it appointment reminder VAPI. You can call it whatever you want. Hit enter, and then we are gonna start with a webhook, mail hook. Create a mail hook, name it mail hook appointment reminder, and save it. What you are gonna get here is an email address. You can copy this email address to clipboard and hit OK. In previous videos, we have discussed webhooks. Webhooks basically detect if you visit a certain URL, and if you visit this URL, this webhook will be triggered. The mail hooks work slightly different, but really similar. They do not detect if you visit a certain URL, but they will detect if an email gets sent to a certain URL. And this is our email address, and if we send something to this email address, this mail hook will trigger and therefore trigger the whole scenario. So copy this email address to clipboard, and now we have to test it out. So we run this module once, and then we send ourselves an email to this specific email address. For this use case, I will include one other email. I will explain later why. Just keep in mind that the order you put them in matters, and we want first the other email to be put in, and afterwards we want the make.com email put in. So for example, xyz@web.com or .de, whatever, and then you can paste the other email in. Subject, test, and then for the body also test, and then we will send it. go back to make.com and wait till the mail hook triggers, and there it is. This is basically the data we are receiving. We are receiving the subject line, the date when the mail was sent, and then the text. We also get the HTML content, and the important thing here is the recipients. We get 2 recipients since we included 2 emails. The first one is the other email we used, and the second one is this email from this webhook. Now we are again going to this mail hook and copy this email address to the clipboard, and then we go to the other scenario, to the book slot scenario, in which we actually book the appointment. And this is the scenario in which we actually booked the appointment. Just for context, the scenario was built in an automation that calls a lead when they put in their information for a form and tries to book an appointment with them. And if they and the assistant agrees on a time and date, then this automation will trigger, will run through this automation, and here book the call, and then return the appointment confirmation to the assistant. And this appointment booked here is the appointment we will call them to remind them of later with the assistant we are booking today. And this is why we need to access this Google Calendar. In here you can see this is the AI growth audit with the recipient and me. And down here we have the attendees. The attendees are the persons that are invited to this appointment and that are also getting sent the appointment reminder email, which then triggers our automation. So in order to getting the mail that reminds of the appointment 4 hours before the appointment starts, getting sent that email to our email address from make.com, we need to add an item under attendees. You can name it whatever, just name it reminder automation, and then paste the email address into this field here. Hit OK, save this scenario, and then you're good to go. So now when somebody schedules an appointment, our email address for this custom mail hook will be included inside of the appointment, and also the appointment confirmation email will be sent to this email. And as soon as that happens, this mail hook triggers and the automation will start. And now we can continue building. We will add a Google Sheets with search rows. For all of my videos, I have created a demo CRM with some information inside of it, and we will leverage that for the videos. So I will just select the spreadsheet here, the demo CRM with the sheet name, it's sheet 1. We can leave this as is, and then we have to filter. Obviously, when we want to find the personal information about our lead in the database, we need some sort of key to actually get the information dedicated to them and not like any other filter. For example, if we search for a name, there could be an instance where 2 persons have the same name, and therefore we can't use that. It's basically called a unique key in programming language. We just need a value that is unique for each person, and for that we use the email address, and it's just the email address inside of the CRM should be equal to the recipient's email address. You can just map it here, recipient's email address, bam, and then hit OK. And that's already it. For the next 2 modules, we want the call not to start immediately. Because we are sending an email, we want to give the customer time to actually read the email, and there isn't really a good way in make.com to schedule a call for later, or at least not one I'm aware of. If you have one, you can definitely let me know, but the best way I found to do it is to just let the automation sleep. Here you can just add 1 sleep module. The problem here is the value must be between 1 and 300, but this is actually the number of seconds for which the automation sleeps. So if you put in 300 here, the automation won't continue for 5 minutes. So it will trigger the mail hook, then search for the personal information inside of the Google Sheets, and then go into the tools. And here it will wait for 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, it will continue. And we want to give the recipient a little bit of more time. So we just, again, tools, we will set it to sleep for 300 seconds. So the customer has about 10 minutes time to read the email. I think that's fair enough. If you want to give it longer, you can just add more of those 2 modules. It's not beautiful, but that's the way how it works at the moment. And after that, we will add the module that is initiating the call. You can either use the VAPI module here. This has a few functionalities, but this is really basic. and we want to have way more options for personalization, and that's why we are not using this. We are using an HTTP module with make a request. In here we have quite a few things we can change, but in order to explain this, let's switch into the API reference of VAPI. To find the API reference, you will just go to your VAPI dashboard, hit on this question mark and go to API documentation. This will open a new tab, and under calls you will get to post call. This is already the first thing we need to change. We will make a post request to VAPI to this URL. So copy this URL to your clipboard, and remember this post, go back to make.com, paste the URL in here and change the method to post. Now go back to VAPI, and in here you can now see different parameters we need to change, or we can change, in order to personalize this call for our needs. And it's all explained here. You can read through it yourself if you want to. And on the right here you will see the call request in JSON code, and here you will see the result, which then returns to you. And if we want to customize this, we will have to hit on play. Just keep in mind, you won't have to do this yourself. I will provide this JSON data for all of you in the resource hub. If you want to know how this works, you can just watch this section too. And if you don't want to know exactly how I figured out the JSON code, you can just skip forward. I will show the timestamp when I'm done with that somewhere on the screen right now. I might even actually suggest you to watch it because it's quite interesting and it might be insightful for you. But again, if you want to skip forward, just do so. So to build it, hit play. The first thing you will need to do is to put in your API token. Just copy it from your VAPI dashboard and click this here. In your instance, this should be red. Just again, paste it in here and it will turn green. The next thing is we have here the body parameters. The body parameters are the things we can customize. We will click it and then select assistant. In here, we can add the transcriber, use deepgram, hit language. There you can select English or whatever language you are using. And then for the model, we want to use Nova 2. Next, we want to click on 27 more optional properties. Want to select model. And for this model, this is basically the AI model, which is used, the LLM. We want to use OpenAI, and the fastest one is GPT-4o mini. That's what we are going to use. We are also going to change the temperature. So click on 11 more properties, temperature, and I will set it to 1. The temperature is basically the creativity of the LLM. And yeah, I think 1 is a good value. If you want it to be more precise, use a lower value. If you want it to be a bit more creative, use a higher value. And the value is between 0 excluding and 2 including. The next thing is voice. You can select a voice here. We want to have the voice provider. You can either use 11 Labs or Play HT. I personally get better results with Play HT, so I'm going to select this. And then the exact voice we are going to use is Ruby. I think she sounds quite natural, and we're not going to define any of the other properties. Actually, something I forgot, we also need to define is under the model. We need to click on 10 more options and then hit messages, because this is where we actually prompt the LLM what the task with it is. Under messages, hit one new item, and then we select system, optional property, content, and this is where you put in your prompt. I will just copy a prompt in there, which I prepared beforehand. You can grab the link from the resource hub. It's not the perfect prompt. It works for this example, but obviously if you wanted to work this in the real world as good as you can, you would refine the prompt even further. Just put the prompt in there, and then that's good. And another thing we need to add is the tools IDs. That's what I've been talking about when I showed you the VAPI dashboard and the 2 tools. We need to add 2 items. The first one is for the tool that checks the availability in our calendar, and the second tool is for the tool that actually then goes ahead and books the slot when the assistant and the customer agree on a new time. So this is for the book slot, and this is for the check availability. Next thing, we are gonna go all the way down to 25 more optional properties, hit first message, and we can put in a string here. I just put in there, hey, I'm Sunny from Maximus, have you got a minute? By the way, if you're wondering why I always write Eximus with an E, if I write it without the E, the AI assistant doesn't know how to pronounce it, and with the E in front of it, it's correctly pronounced. Just a fun side fact: if there's something that is pronounced wrongly with your AI assistant, just try to write it how you would speak it, and then it more often than not works. And to continue, you will click 24 more optional properties, first message mode. We will select assistant speaks first, so when the call gets picked up by the customer, the assistant immediately starts speaking. Next, we want to enable server messages, and there we want to select end of call report, and we also want to select tool calls. Without the tool calls, you won't be able to leverage those two tools. So if you don't select it, the assistant won't be able to call these tools and to execute them. And the end of call report just sends obviously the end of call report with the transcript, with the summary, etc. to a URL we are specifying. I did another video about that, and you can go ahead and watch it on this channel. I won't talk about this further in this video. And for the next thing, you will go to 22 more optional properties, client messages, and there you will click tool call results and also tool calls. Next, on 21 more optional properties, we want to set the silence timeout to 60 seconds. So basically when nothing happens for 1 minute, the assistant will hang up, and the max duration seconds will be 600. You can customize this to whatever you want. This means that after 60 seconds without anything happening, the assistant just hangs up, and the max duration of the call is 600 seconds, so 10 minutes. The next thing we are going to do is the background sound. I personally want to turn this off. Because with a voice call, this is turned on default. If you want to have background sounds, you can just turn this away and then it will be on. I personally don't like it, so I turn it off. The next thing we want to change is the voicemail detection. This basically detects if an actual person picks up the phone or if the voicemail picks up the phone. And we can configure quite a few things here. For best results, we want to add voicemail detection types, and you're gonna select everything except the machine start here. Then we are gonna check the enabled and turn it on. Machine detection timeout will be 45 milliseconds. The machine detection speech threshold will be 2400, and the same will be for the machine detection speech end threshold. And then for the last, the machine detection silence timeout, we will use 6000. Next, we're gonna click on 17 more optional properties. We are gonna click on voicemail message, and then just paste in any voicemail message you want the assistant to say when an actual voicemail picks up the phone. And the last thing we want to add here is the end call message. You can just write goodbye here. The end call message is basically just the message the assistant will say when they end the call. So apparently my camera just turned off. I hope not much footage is lost, but yeah, we will just continue where we left off before. And this is where we select 9 more optional properties and then select phone number ID. This is where your phone number comes in, which you hopefully purchased before or which you imported from Twilio. You will just copy the phone number ID, like I said in the very beginning, and then paste it in here. And then the last thing is 8 more optional properties. Go to customer, and this is where you will select number, and this is where you basically will put in the customer's number. For now, you will put in your own phone number here because we need to test out the request with this button in a second, and to know if it actually works, you will just put in your own phone number and then call yourself. But we will change this from your own phone number to your customer's phone number in Mac.com. But like I said, for now, just put in your own phone number and then hit on send request. This then should give you the status code 201 and then call you. We can just decline the call right there because we know this code is working, and then copy it to your clipboard right here. After that, you will go to jasonformatter.org and paste in the code on the left hand side right here. And then there are a few things that we need to change. First, on the bottom of the code in line 67, we need to get rid of this thing here. So just mark it and click backspace. And on the top of the page, we need to get rid of everything that is in front of this curly bracket. So select everything and again hit backspace. And to see the correct result on the right hand side, just select everything, press Ctrl X, and then hit Ctrl V. Okay, apparently we have an error in line 15. Line 15 is right here. And I think the error is because of all the curly brackets. So we can just, cut out this part here. Again. Oh, here are also curly brackets. We need to get rid of them too. And I think, okay, no, that's fine. Again, press Ctrl A, Ctrl X, refresh the page and hit Ctrl V. And then we still need to fix one small error, which is here. We need to add another backspace in here. Again, Ctrl A, Ctrl X, refresh the page and hit Ctrl V. And as you can see, there was another slight error here. The problem is that the JSON data with these small things here and these here, it's quite sensitive. So in order to make it work, you will have to include backslashes and the right amount. And from the VAPI create call, if we copy that from here, the backslashes are not correct set. So we need to do this in the JSON formatter. Again, don't worry about it. I will provide you with the JSON code itself already, so you can just ignore this probably. But when your JSON data is mirrored to this side, you're good to go. You can just press in this field here, click Ctrl A, Ctrl C, and then go to make.com. In make.com, we want to go to the HTTP request, click body type raw, content type JSON, and then paste the code in here. This should look like this then, so correctly formatted. And now we can start to input the custom data from the prospect into this field here. But first, we want to add headers. Go to headers, click plus. The first one is authorization. You will type into value bearer, space, and then your API key from VAPI. It's the same you put into the bearer token here. So what is here? This is not the full API key, so go to your VAPI dashboard and copy it from there, and then you can just paste it in here. I won't do that now because I can't show you my API key obviously, but I will do it later. And the second header we're going to add is this here. So the content type application JSON. First copy and paste the content type into the header here, and then for the value, copy this string here and paste it into value. Perfect. All right, and now let's customize the request content here. I will just paste in again the system prompt I have prepared for you earlier in here with the full data, because the curly brackets here that made a problem in the JSON formatter won't make a problem here. They are fine. And also for the first message, we can customize this to the first name of the prospect. So in the first message, behind the hey, you can just put in the first name, and then it says, hey, Carl, I'm Sunny from Eximus, have you got a minute? Again, you can make the same change in the voicemail message to the first name and for the phone number. And this is arguably the most important part, because we don't want to call the same number every time. We need to dynamically fetch the number from our CRM basically. And this is why we put under number the phone in here. And with that, the assistant will call the number which is pulled in here. The problem now is, in our database, in our Excel sheet, in our Google Sheets, the phone number is inputted with the country code, but without the plus. So we need to add the plus here. So it calls plus country code and then the phone number. And with that, it will work. If you have a different number format, obviously you will put it in your number format. This is just specifically for my use case right now. Okay, so in order to map the data to our HTTP request, we first need to execute this Google Sheets module once. So right click, run module, and then we will get all the personal data. And after doing this, you can go to the HTTP request and then map the correct data inside of the prompts. To not waste your time, I will just put in all of the data in here, and then you will see when it's done. All right, so I've put in all of the data into the request content. just the first name, last name, again, first name, last name, and then just a bit of context for the assistant so they know actually what was happening in the last call, when the last call was happening, and also when the appointment date and time is. And then down here, I have added the first name to the first message, so they actually greet the prospect with their first name. And all the way at the bottom, under customer and number, you will put in the phone number of the customer. And now we should be good to go to call the assistant. I will just have to change something down here in the phone number ID, so you can't see my own phone number, but I will do that off screen right now, and then we will talk to the assistant together. If you're done here, just hit OK, save, and then we are gonna run this HTTP make request once, run this module only. Just did a little mistake, I didn't put in my API key. This will lead to an error, but now we can run this module. You will have to put in some information here, and I will just put some demo information and then show you the call. This is the call. Well, something went wrong there. We will have to check that out. The HTTP request was actually successful, so it's not an issue here. Oh, it's calling again. Okay.
Hey Tim, I am Sunny from Eximus. Have you got a minute?
Yeah, hi Sunny, and I've got a minute. What's it about?
Great. I'm just reaching out to remind you of your AI growth audit scheduled for today. Are you still able to make it? Also, is there anything specific you would like to discuss during our call?
Yeah, I'm able to make it, and I don't know if there's anything specific I want to discuss, but can you just quickly remind me when our last call was and what we were talking about?
Of course. Our last call was on December 9, 2024. We discussed the incredible value of AI voice assistants. If you have any more questions about that or anything else, feel free to bring it up during our meeting.
And yeah, that's how the call works. Obviously, you will need to refine the prompt even further. This is just a basic prompt with some basic information for the assistant, but for it to really work as intended, you will have to refine it further and further. And if you want me to make a video about prompt engineering for voice assistants, definitely let me know in the comments down below. I can do something like this in the future. But for now, just click this away, hit save, and then you will need to turn this scenario on. And once this system is working and once the system is actually live, you can obviously add real appointments to your calendar and add the email address of this mail hook, and then just watch the system work and watch the system automatically reminding your customers about your appointments. Now that you've built your outbound voice AI appointment reminder system, you might be wondering what else you can build with voice AI, and you can definitely check out my video on the outbound appointment setter that is somewhere on the screen right now here. It's packed with value and it will definitely bring your business to the next level. Or if you'd like personalized one-on-one help with building an voice AI solution out for your business, book a meeting with the link in the description down below. We'd love to help you out. And other than that, leave a like if you found this video valuable, subscribe for more future tutorials, and yeah, if you have any video suggestions, leave them down in the comments. And with that, I'll see you in the next one.